Yo, dude.
Hello. Oh, hello.
What do you think of the film Blade?
Blade. Yeah, it's alright.
Just alright.
Yeah. Good.
Cool.
Cool.
That's our intro.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome to One Watched.
That's quiet and then loud.
Yeah.
We worked on that intro.
Now you know how to get the range.
Yeah, now we've burst their audio and I've boosted it at the same time. Hooray. It's a one watch. We talk about things we've watched.
Yeah.
That's what we do. I've watched one thing that I want to talk about. Many things I've watched, but I'm not quite ready to talk about some of those.
I watched one thing that I'd like to talk about, if I remember it, that you've also watched.
Okay?
Yeah.
So one each.
Yeah.
Are you starting with me? Starting with you.
Let's start with you.
Okay? I'd like to take us back to a time.
Okay.
Yeah, a time when men were men. Nirvana were dead. Vampires were things. They were real vampires.
Okay.
Yeah, motherfuckers. Some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill.
Okay.
Getting tired of cutting you up. Figured I'd try fire instead. You're nothing to me but another dead vampire. No.
Blade?
Blade, motherfucker! Blade! I watched Blade. I was at work. Guy was like, oh, I watched Blade the other day. I was like, Blade exists, so I'm going home watching that tonight. And I did.
Nice.
Just Blade 1. I've got Blade 2 to come, and I probably won't bother with Blade Trinity.
Yeah.
If I do, it's to see Triple H. That's the only reason I've ever watched Blade Trinity. Blade. Shall I explain Blade? Do you think we need a...
Blade is a half vampire hunting guy.
Yeah, he's a Marvel character. He's a Marvel character. It was like a really early Marvel film before it was Marvel Studios. And when you think that it was an R-rated Marvel film with a black lead, like, it was way ahead of... Like, Marvel is still catching up to that kind of thing. And it's so well done. He's the Daywalker. In the comics, it's slightly different, but in the film, it's that his mom was pregnant when she was fed on by a vampire, and that meant that... so she was, like, in labour pregnant, like 9 months giving birth, kind of pregnant. So some of the vampire traits followed on to Blade, and so he's got the vampire thirst. He's got the vampire thirst.
He's the first
That's my
vampire.
list coming out there.
Yeah. Number one. He's the first one.
He was the first ever Daywalker as far as it's been recorded, and he was a very thirsty first Daywalker. So he has a craving for blood, but he can walk in sunlight, and things like garlic and silver don't kill him in the same way they do vampires.
Yeah.
And he has Chris Christopherson, Wesker, the actual Chris Christopherson, like, amazing country sort of singer guy, you know, down and out, druggy, up there with Johnny Cash for soulful music and lived the life that they sang about kind of guy. And they hunt vampires.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's the premise. Let's get out of that way. Yeah, it's way over its time, and it's fucking brilliant. It has one of the best intros to any film ever. Can you remember the beginning of Blade?
I feel like it's a really good fight scene.
Partly.
But I don't remember most of it.
Okay. It begins with a rave. Like, this girl's taking this guy to a rave, everyone's dancing, it's a proper 90s style techno rave, the type where you would be going in a club on ecstasy and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the DJ raises his hands like, ah, and blood falls from the ceiling, and they were all vampires except for like a few humans that got taken in, but they're all going to be fed on.
Yeah.
Like, it starts with a fucking rave, then Blade comes and like starts kicking ass, and then like the VIP guy is part of da-da-da, and it's just, it's a high octane intro. I always remember Blade as having a really great intro and a really great ending fight with some high octane music and being a bit dull in the middle. It wasn't. The more like watching it back this time, I was like, actually all the way through, it's like, it's so well done. It's
the first
so
one's
artistic.
got a lot of stuff in it.
Oh, there's so many like auteur moments as well. Like the film director doing really classy or interesting or different things. Like Blade follows a guy in a car, and they do it by speeding up the car, and then a camera almost from the car perspective, and just like the night lights flying past you. The effects of like vampires dying and bursting into flames and stuff is actually really good. Like you can see like the CG aspect to it, but it still works pretty well. most of the villains are sort of well cast looks wise and don't get too many lines. They're kind of slightly over the top. And the main bad guy is called Deacon Frost. I forgot the name of the actor who plays Deacon Frost. He's not in that many things. He was in the the Britney Spears Lucky video where she gets like beaten up by her. Oh, okay. It was right. Not that I'm a massive Britney Spears fan, though I was as a teenager growing up. I liked a lot. There was a lot about Britney Spears I liked, but the Lucky song was a bit past my time. It was more, oops, I did it again. Schoolgirl uniform. Britney Spears was that's my Britney. But
and then Toxic was acceptable. It was later, but it was acceptable.
Toxic and Prerogative, I feel, were like the last great Britney moments, and then it declined into.
And then we had Christina Aguilera doing Dirty, and we didn't, and that would get played on Crime for whatever reason.
And then there was the one where they were not prostitutes, the fancy version of prostitutes.
Oh, Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, with the four of them, where it's like, look, we're empowered women because we're gonna dress this way and it's like, I'm pretty sure like maybe there's a little bit of something a little bit not maybe it's not quite as like you're empowered as you think in this situation. How's this market? Look at what you're doing. But if you feel empowered just like that, that's great. It's great for all of us. We all enjoy it. The Lucky song, the music video to that, he's this guy who plays Deacon Frost in it is he's like her fella, and he's like they row, and there's a domestic abuse angle and stuff, and then she commits suicide in the bath, and spoiler, Britney Spears commits suicide in the music video for Lucky. Sorry if that spoils it for you. And he was really good in that as well. The thing I really like about the villain is he's one of those villains where you can like totally understand his motivation. Vampires, there's two ways you make vampires in the Blade universe. One is you're born a vampire. Two is you're turned. But the borns are pure blood, and the turned are not. And Deacon Frost has a scar on his face because the actual actor has a scar, so he isn't a pure blood. He was turned. And like most of the council are pure bloods, and they use like basically racial terms, but like vampire racial terms to sort of like, you're crap, Deacon, and he's like, you're fucking old, you know what the fuck you're doing, like, there's this Bible, look at this fucking blood god, we could be doing shit with this, man, like, I just want to go to techno raves and enjoy being a vampire, you guys just want to fucking hide out, and they're like, no more raves, the governments don't let us, because the whole idea is like, vampires is like, they exist within the government, it's very True Blood aspect of vampires and humans know about each other, but they're kept from the public. But Deacon's like, fuck all that, man. Like, we're vampires. We're way better than these guys.
And don't the True Blood vampires look weird in it?
Some do. The older... The idea is, like, the older you get as a vampire, the more you look a bit weird. But that's in many things that happens. Blade 2, I seem to remember they emphasised that more, but I didn't, like... I do really like Blade 2, though. But, so he's just, like, a good-looking party boy who just listens to techno, and... There's a bit that I feel sums him up great. Is Blade? There's this woman that Blade sort of gets as a like sidekick, and she does a really good job in it as well. And they go and they find this like really fat vampire who's a bit like a librarian, and they basically like torture him by torturing him with UV light until he tells them the information.
Yeah.
But Deacon's there, and he's just fed on someone, so he's like dabbing himself off with a towel, and then he sees Blade. He goes, "Nice to see you, Blade," and he's like Blade's talking to him. He goes, "Yeah, we'll see about that, Blade." Turns the TV off and just goes, "Fuck!" And he's like genuinely like he just gets annoyed and does things. And like there's a bit where he meets Blade in like daylight because if you wear enough mascara, like UV makeup stuff, then you can just about survive in the light for a bit. And like he meets Blade, but he takes a child hostage with him. He doesn't go with big gangsters or anything else. He just takes a child hostage, and when he's done, he's like, right, flings the child in front of a bus and runs off. And then Blade fucking tries to kill him, and only when he knows he's not going to be able to do it, then goes and tries to save the child. Like, there's lots of really good character bits in it, and it's a really well done, high octane. It's like one of the better aspects of, I think it was 90s. I might just get my phone and apologize.
I'm pretty sure it's 90s.
I think it's like late 90s, and it's a classy action R-rated film. What I like about it is the R-ratedness of it. It's all in with the story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it never goes. 1998 was Blade. Blade never like goes, okay, well I'm going to be really grim and over the top because I can. It always fits within the action or what's happening, and like I said, it's really well done. It's really, really well done. Wesley Snipes is great. Convicted tax dodger. Wesley Snipes is fantastic as Blade.
Well, he is Blade.
Well, he's very method acting apparently, which I think is weird. If you see like, you ever seen Demolition Man?
Yes.
I'd love to know if Wesley Snipes went method acting for playing that crazy guy who likes to burn and break things, and if he's just like in his trailer just laughing at people and shit. I really like the idea of that. But yeah, Blade. I watched Blade.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyone who's not seen Blade
ice skate up
should watch Blade.
Yeah, well, if you've seen it, watch it again.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy it. Unless you hated it the first time, then, you know, maybe, I don't know, watch Twilight. Probably more your speed for vampires.
Yeah. Or the Vampire Diaries, if you want Twilight the series.
Is that what? I don't know.
It basically is. They don't sparkle though. They're slightly better.
I don't know. I'm opening my drink. I don't think it fizzed, so this won't be too like, oh, it's fizzed all over now. Oh, it's not just drink anymore. No, I can create an echo. Hello. Oh, I wonder how this will come across.
Yeah.
Watch Blade. Fucking
Nice.
great.
Awesome.
Really like Blade. Really like Blade.
Yeah.
Blade. Could
Okay.
have gone Mortal Kombat there as well.
Yeah.
That one was like, that's just, throughout, you get that techno thing whenever Blade's going to do something badass. Yeah, you'll go.
So, I watched Iron Fist, the TV series. Yeah. You also
We're
watched
doing
Iron
Marvel
Fist.
then, aren't we? We're doing
Yeah,
Marvel.
it's Marvel special.
It's not. Well, Blade special. Iron Fist. Oh, I am creating the echo. I better put this drink away. I'm just going to take one more sip. Iron Fist is not fucking special.
No.
Well, I don't feel it's special.
So,
Would you like me to start and then you can go into it because it'll be fresher in your mind?
yeah, go
Okay.
for it.
Right. There's a really early beginning of Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Really, really early. Danny Rand goes to Rand Enterprises.
Yeah.
He's dressed as a kind of smiley homeless. He's dressed like really homeless. He's not wearing shoes, and he's kind of smiley, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Danny Rand," and they're looking at him like he's a bit crazy, but he's really smiley about it. And then security comes, but then he beats up the security, and he goes into the building to meet the CEOs.
Yeah.
Now at this point, I thought, "Oh look, this is Danny Rand. His poker face is smiley. He's clever." And he's playing it as, this is a bizarre situation. Instead of trying to explain it all, I'm just going to go in and fuck about a bit.
Yeah.
And like no one's going to believe that I'm Danny Rand and I'm back. So I'll just be cute with it. And then I realised, no. That was actually meant to be completely 100% sincere. And the rest of it is Danny Rand being, effectively, I felt, a moody fucking teenager. And I struggled with that because it's no fun.
No.
You go, you've watched it all.
So I didn't find him to be a moody teenager, but I found him to be unbelievably naive about everything. Even when he's not being naive and he actually, temporarily goes, "Oh yeah, I don't completely understand why they won't believe me." The next scene, he's naive again. And it's like, yes, sure, you were raised in a temple for, from the age of 10, and you got beaten the shit out of and had fights and stuff. You shouldn't be naive.
Yeah.
Like, if it was, oh, you've been in this happy place and stuff, sure, be naive. But you've been trained to be like a badass warrior. And you've basically been forced into like this lifestyle where you're going to be this badass warrior. Sure, in another plane that you recognise as being another plane of existence, and yet you expect people to just understand.
Yeah. Okay, so I just remembered some more things about Iron Fist. This is going to be, from my behalf, trashy of Iron Fist. When I say petulant teenager, there's a scene. I will avoid spoilers, I'll just describe things. Danny Rand goes up against an enemy. He ends up sort of at an academy that he thinks are people for friends, and this enemy is locked up in like a cell, and he says, "I want to go talk to them." And he goes and talks to them, and this enemy says, "Look at you, you're in a prison." And he goes, "You're in a prison, you're locked up." And she's like, you need to unlock your mind. He goes, your mind's locked up, and you're going to be locked up forever, and storms away. He gets into a name-calling fucking exercise with the defeated enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah. His character is poor. The worst, like, the characters are all round inconsistent. Like you said, he's learned something he hasn't. I feel like, okay, Iron Fist isn't all terrible, and Rosario Dawson's character I felt came off pretty well.
Yeah. She's consistent
Yes.
throughout.
But she's established by the
characters.
other Marvel Netflix series, Daredevil, Jessica. Is she in Jessica? She's briefly in Jessica Jones, and then Luke Cage. She has a significant role. But there are two other female characters that I'll use as an example because I felt the female characters were so badly written. One is a board member, and one is a martial arts instructor.
Yeah.
Now we have a martial arts instructor who's all about the code and the respect of the art, but also decides that they love cage fighting.
Yeah.
And then chastises like their students and stuff. And one scene will be utterly appalled that a student doesn't respect the art, and the next scene will be cage fighting with no in between of how she got there or how that makes any sense. Character-wise, she's all over the place. And then the board member lady, like 10, 11 episodes in, I still couldn't figure out, am I meant to like her? Am I meant to hate her? Is she a villain? Is she a good guy? Because she's been an absolute villain here and an absolute good guy here, and there's no sensible reason for either of those things.
Both sides of that character would be fine. But
Pick,
it shouldn't
well,
be.
pick
Yeah.
one. When she started to be a villain, I was like, okay, she's villainous. But then the next scene, she's fucking crying about shit. But then, like, children die of radiation, and she's all happy about it. And it's like, it doesn't... There's no consistency to those characters. And then there's, like... she has, like, a brother, and I thought, he's quite a good character. But then halfway through, he just goes on this massive self-destructive trip. And it's like, well, what's his point anymore? Why is he doing any of these things? And it didn't have a point. It's really bad, actually. It's just boring. It's criminally boring.
I enjoyed it for what it was.
Did you?
Oddly enough, yeah. I am now remembering way worse things about it than, like, I think looking back on it is probably not that, great. The guy, the brother, is probably the one of the strongest characters in a way, but he does transition way too quickly. The girl, for the majority of it, the back and forth, is she bad or good, it actually makes sense.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
All her bad stuff at the beginning is company based.
No.
And it's her private is struggling.
That's the point, is it's not though. It's her private moments when she's talking to people. Her whole mannerisms change from villainous to good. So she's with Danny Rand, and her mannerism is all, I'm weak and I'm good and stuff.
Yeah.
But then she's like, I'm weak and I'm feeling sad because of a good thing that's happened, and I want a bad thing to happen. Like, trust me, I went back and watched these characters just to see, am I missing something on these scenes? Like, it's not even consistent where you can say, oh well, she's only bad in the board meetings and she's good when she's with Danny Rand, because she actually has a go at Danny Rand and lays into him for things and says bad things that he challenges her for, but then acts like she's an absolute villain, but then acts like she's happy in the boardroom and does good things in the boardroom.
No, that's what I mean. Like, she's essentially a conflicted character, and she makes sense as a conflicted character. She's trying to do best with business, so she gets annoyed with business stuff, but then at times she gets annoyed with herself because of how she has to do business, but then it's the end.
We'll have to agree to disagree, because for me a conflicted character is a conflicted character. Yeah. She isn't a conflicted character. She's a committed character. She's just constantly changing what she's committed to.
Yeah.
A conflicted character shows conflict, shows they're unsure, shows that they're uncertain. She says she's uncertain, but then does the thing that's the opposite of what she was uncertain about. So she sees this like kid that's this mother of a child that's got ill from radiation because there's all this shit going on, and she's like, 1 minute she's really upset about it, but then she's in a boardroom and she's literally the only instigator saying they should get no compensation money at all, and becomes actually aggressive when someone else proposes they should get compensation. So she's absolutely committed to not giving them compensation. But in the scene before, she's absolutely like, oh, this is terrible. Yeah. But there's no... She's hiding that. Because then later on, she laments the fact that Danny Rand then comes in and says, we're giving them compensation. And then she has a go at her brother for saying they shouldn't be given compensation, and absolutely rinses him for not doing it. That's not consistent. That's not a conflicted character. That's a character who's doing whatever the scene needs for other characters around them. Do you know what I mean?
See what I took as it as is that you have her back, like her backstory is the company running, but she's running the company and trying to stay in charge of the company, and she wants to be in charge of the company, unlike her brother. And she's doing everything she can to try to stay in that, but then has personal conflicts. Like, she thinks they should actually get compensation, but she can't do it as a company person and keep her job.
Fair. I think you.
But it's the last bit of it. That's when she
Let's
becomes
not
a
spoil that.
fucking dumbass character.
Let's not spoil that.
That's when all her conflict, I lose hope as her being, I can accept her as a conflict character, because then you get to the end and she is just a piece of shit character.
I think
she's rubbish. She doesn't make any sense. Everything's ruined.
Fair. We'll have to agree to disagree. I honestly think you're giving way too much credit, because I watched it through. Sarah watched bits of it with me. She abandoned it quite early. Our mutual friend Paul watched it. None of us could look at her character or the martial arts instructor. And there's others as well. Danny Rand has a friend that randomly comes into it. Now, because I've read some of the comics and Hero for Hire,
Yeah.
like, I understood who that friend would become and therefore why they ended up the way they did. I understand. But it was like, it was so fucking... There was so much that was piss poor about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the their characters were whatever scenes needed them to be. So they changed depending on what they wanted the feel to be.
Yeah.
And then you mix that with Danny Rand's naivety, and it just dragged so much. Like, by the end I was just, I've missed a thing, I'll go back.
Yeah.
Oh, that happened, right. Fuck this. Skipping conversations, all kinds of things. I was so...
See, I probably was painting the entire time that I was watching it, so maybe I just skipped some of the bits. But the conflict made sense to me, like, for that character. The brother character, made sense to me to a degree, but felt a little too quick. Like, they were trying to shove too much progression into space, but then it's like they decided they were going to do the progression in like half an episode, and it's like, oh yeah, we need to entirely change his character, so let's do it. This happens, and it's like, no progression.
And why? When you said yourself, like, the ending. So why? Why did they bother with all that shit?
Right. I
Try
think
it.
the brothers meant to become a good guy.
You think?
Yeah.
Right.
But the ending...
So he's a good guy. Okay, about halfway through, the brother does something that many people would consider irredeemable. You know what I'm talking about?
Think so.
Yeah. Why would you have your character do that if they're going to become an out-and-out good guy?
See, I don't think he's going to become an out-and-out good guy.
No, you're a good guy or you're a
No.
villain. This is
No.
Marvel, right?
Right. See, think early Lex Luthor. He's a bad guy, really. Lex Luthor's a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
But early Lex
Stop
Luthor
that.
is sort of the half and half. He's friends with Clark,
Right.
but
Think Punisher.
hates Superman. Yeah,
Think Punisher. Is the Punisher a good guy or a bad guy?
neither. He's an anti-hero.
He's not a hero.
No.
The series deliberately treats him as
Yeah.
he's not a hero. He gets his story arc, and he's actually written out, but he is... There are consequences for his actions, and he
Yeah.
suffers for them. And his motivation is a dark, and Daredevil is used as a representation of, look, Punisher is doing his thing, but he is not the good guy. And actually,
Yeah.
even when you celebrate the thing he's done, he will still do something else.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And where you're rooting for the Punisher, it's because of who he's up against.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's how you treat a character like that in something as complex as a TV series. Because
Yeah.
if it's a like Punisher 2000, like the really over the top comics, then it's fine because it's pulp.
Yeah.
But in a series like that, the brother doesn't go through that.
No, he skips that bit. That's the problem. I think he's meant to be that character in the next season.
Right. But why would you have him do the things he does for like a good 2/3 of the series if you wanted him? Like, if you want him to go from being a villain to a good guy, you plot that course, you plan that out, and you make sure that you have those little moments suggesting that he could be a good guy. They do none of that. They go out and out villain. And like I said, one of his acts in particular is irredeemable in that You can't cheer someone after they've done that because
Yeah.
they're capable of doing that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why would they do that? And with the woman's character as well, like you say you understand the motivation. Fair. I felt there was no clear motivation, and we can go back and watch scenes because their characters contradict each other and have no consistency. But why? Or let's scale it back from the corporate things. The martial arts instructor.
Yeah.
Why is she?
Oh, she's dumb.
Why is she all about the respect thing of the
Yeah.
martial art? But then why is she carrying on the cage fighting?
Yeah.
And what was the purpose of it when you think about her background and what she actually is?
Yeah.
Why did any of that early stuff happen? And the Iron Fist just left me with. It was all bollocks.
Yeah.
It was all just like they had a bit of budget left over and they just rushed it.
I mean, like, to me, it felt like they had probably the first half of the season was like their build up, and then the second half of the season should have been the transition, but instead they went build up. Right, let's skip to the next bit. We'll skip the transition bit to make people make sense. Let's just make another half series and sort of shove that on the end. I feel like the sister starts off as more of a good guy. Robert starts off as more of a bad guy, and they're meant to transition. And then you have the other guy is meant to be the out and out bad guy later, but he's sort of the manipulative bad guy.
So
And then
okay.
and then you have the hand story, which
So we want the sister to be a good guy, and the brother to be a bad guy, and for those two to sort of switch roles as it goes along.
Yeah.
So why in episode 3 is the sister doing a really bad thing and the brother doing a good thing, and then they're flipping in episode 4? Why in episode 5?
what good thing does the brother do?
Right. So the brother's slightly more consistent in
Yeah.
that, like, they flash back and they show that the idea is he's meant to be a prick, but then the brother has a family revelation, and then becomes a sympathetic character that's treated as, oh, how do I deal with this? Da 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 da. But then the irredeemable act comes. So he starts that path of, I'm a sympathetic character, but then turns into basically a murderer.
Yeah.
A horrific, brutal fucking murderer. So we've started that progression and then completely reversed it. They literally, like, within 2 episodes, they start, you're saying you want him to end feeling like he's a good guy, but they don't plot a course with it. They jump around. And the sister, like I said, she jumps around.
That's what I mean.
So why would you do that?
See,
what your end game is? If you
it's
have
the
an
guy
end
he
game.
murders. It's the important part for him to become an anti-hero.
What does he do after he's murdered? He falls apart.
Yeah.
And what does he start doing when he's falling apart in business meetings to other people? How does he start treating them? Disgracefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely disgracefully. Not sympathetically.
No.
Not in a way where
That's
you
why I
can
say
be-
he's not an out-and-out good guy. He's never going to be an out-and-out good guy.
But he's not a good guy.
No.
You couldn't... If I wrote a character like that, you would say that's the villain.
But he helps.
You're sorry?
But he helps.
Which is...
Danny Rand,
again,
he's the
which
good guy.
makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's inconsistent. Why did he help Danny Rand?
It's like Punisher. He's a shit.
Why did
he's
he
a
help Danny Rand?
bad guy.
Why does he help Danny Rand?
Because the alternative is worse. Because he's in the middle in a fucked up place.
Yeah.
The alternative
Does
is
he
worse.
explain any of that? At any point does he go
he
through
doesn't.
any of that? No. Do
That's the
any of
problem.
them explain any of that?
Little bits of it.
No,
like,
they
vaguely.
don't.
Yeah, they do.
They don't.
Yeah, like a lot of it's like the implied bits, but
Implied in
Yeah.
that series.
But the problem is, as I say, they skipped a fucking chunk. To make it make sense, they did skip a chunk,
Right.
which is why I say the end of the series is fucking
saying
dumb.
they skipped a chunk,
Yeah.
to me, is giving them credit as they had a story. They didn't skip a fucking chunk. They missed a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
They either rushed or jumped, but more likely, they just did a really poor job. Because we've seen 4 pretty good Marvel series. Jessica Jones stands as amazing. I think Daredevil season 1 was really, really fucking good. The fact you don't get Daredevil to the very end is fantastic. Daredevil season 2 was alright. Didn't care. I felt the Punisher bit really helped. The Elektra bit, not so great. And
Again, that one was they rushed. They pushed too much together.
Daredevil season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're slightly too obsessed with the big Defenders plot, which they're also...
Which is what
Iron Fist is destroyed by the Defenders
That's what
plot.
I think. Like Iron Fist has essentially done. I think they've tried to force too much into that bit for the Defenders. They've tried to make 2 series into one.
Yeah. Luke Cage was
and
good
not
as well.
had it. Like they've not let any slow build. There's no like Daredevil is really good because it's got slow build. As you say, you don't get Daredevil till the end. Jessica Jones is very slow build. Luke Cage is slow build, sort of.
Okay.
Essentially 2 seasons.
Let's go through these characters. Daredevil.
Yeah.
By the end of Daredevil season 1, Daredevil is Daredevil.
Yeah.
And by the end of season 2, Daredevil and his friends have all gone through character progression.
Yeah.
The Punisher has gone through a whole story arc, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. Jessica Jones, the entire story is her getting over her trauma, and not even getting over, just learning to cope and live with her trauma.
Yeah.
Which begins at 1 and ends with Yeah. Luke Cage. Now, there is a break point where like a lot of the motivation stuff for Luke Cage changes and he learns more about his origins and stuff. But Luke Cage's story is him coming out and learning to be a hero to his people.
Yeah.
Yeah? Danny Rand. He walks into that building in episode 1. Can you tell me any progression in the character of Danny Rand when he walks out of where he walks out of at the end of the last one? Anything. Can you tell me any purpose to any of it?
He's a shit character. Which is why
he's not a shit. Right,
no.
He's not a shit character.
Yeah.
It's a really shit version or interpretation of that fucking character.
Which is why I said I enjoyed like the show, like as progression, but like I don't think I got anything out of it. Like I enjoyed episode by episode.
Yeah.
And it was almost episodic as well.
It was, yeah.
Like it was very we're going to do this episode,
which I think is one of the reasons for the inconsistency of it.
As I say, like I saw progression with certain characters, but I feel like they sort of went. It's almost like to me, it's almost like they went right. First 6 episodes, is this. Last 6 episodes is this.
I'm gonna have to go
and then no one bothered to think to see if they test if they worked together.
No one bothered to make a good story. No one knew what their story was or what they wanted it to be. And I think the biggest problem, right, is there was a complete absence of fun or joy from Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Like, there's no...
That was one thing that I felt was odd.
And if I showed you a Kung Fu film, and it's inspired by its Kung Fu film, all of them are over the top. They're gloriously over the top. The villains are ridiculously over the top. Now, I know you need some of your villains to stay... But it's so goddamn serious and miserable about everything it does, right?
Yeah. And then you have, like, moments where it seems like it's going to get fun.
And then
it doesn't.
Well, there were a couple with Rosario Dawson where she's, like, chastising Danny Rand for things. And where she sort of... Rosario Dawson's character, she's sort of Nightness, sort of has a fight. And she equips herself for a fight. And I quite enjoyed that moment. But apart from that, it's like... Oh, I thought the lawyer character was quite good as well. Jerry Heller.
Oh, yeah.
She's played by the actress who played Trinity in The Matrix.
Yeah.
Like, I thought they did alright with her. Again, it's a character from Jessica Jones, that one. I thought, like, the way they do the lawyer bits. Lawyer courtroom, when you have 2 smart lawyers debating, is quite good. But apart from that, there's no joy in it. And it's like, so you have some absolutely ridiculous fucking fights. But they're all trying to be sincere and serious about these fights.
There was one really cool fight there.
Right. There was one fight that I remember I went back and watched, and I watch every so often.
Was it the hallway one?
No.
No.
Okay.
The hallway one that I really liked because it's similar to the Daredevil
hallway. Yeah, it was a throwback. No, I'll give you one. Drunken Master.
Oh yeah.
That was a really good fight. It's a drunken fight.
That was one of those moments where it's like, oh, it's finally going to become fun, and then it's fun for that scene.
Yeah, and then it's straight back to misery. You've annoyed me with this one. I fucking hated it. I really disliked it.
Like thinking back on it, I've seen more worse stuff.
Yeah,
I enjoyed like the progress watching it, but I don't think I'd ever go back and watch it again.
I think the other thing is right. If Iron Fist was just released as its own series, and by that I mean it wasn't connected to any of the other Marvel series and stuff, I could see it being on one of the kind of cheaper networks. I could see them running it, like, and it gets a series and then that's it. It's done. We tried something, didn't quite work out. But it's the fact that it's followed on from the 4 of the Marvel series, all of which had something absolutely sublime about them. Like Jessica Jones is one of my favourite, just absolute favourite hero things, stories ever told. Daredevil 1 is fantastic. Daredevil season 2, the Punisher bit, every Punisher bit, and particularly when the Punisher and Wilson Fisk
Mm.
are in prison together. It's just that's a great fucking episode.
Yeah, just a shame about Electra.
You also
Just a shame about Electra.
And then Luke Cage was really cool. We both really enjoyed it, and we were both going around saying "Sweet Christmas" for a while afterwards.
Yeah, as I say, I think the biggest problem that Iron Fist has, more than anything else, is that they want to do Defenders. And I feel like they just tried to push out Iron Fist before the Defenders comes out, so that it ties in.
Yeah. I wish they'd done it afterwards. I wish Danny Rand was a character, and maybe he's in charge of Rand Enterprises, and you get that afterwards.
Yeah.
Like just put Danny Rand in the Defenders. Figure out. Don't even bother with backstory. Just do it. We'll do it afterwards. We'll explain it. So annoyed.
Or
and after Blade,
just
as well.
focus on the family stuff.
No.
Like if they'd focused on the family stuff and you didn't have all the hand, or right, you focus on the family stuff or focus on the hand stuff. That's what they should have done. Should have been one or the other.
If I was doing Iron Fist, I would have I would change Danny Rand's character, etc., etc. But let's say I have to stick with the bullshit story and everything else. I'd throw Luke Cage in there. Like he was in Jessica Jones. It didn't hurt Luke Cage at all, and it didn't hurt Jessica Jones at all having Luke Cage in it. I would have he can't get the company, he's hiding out in Harlem, and him. I would have they set up Heroes for Hire was like the comic that was Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and the two play off each other, etc. And have Luke Cage dragged into that story because it makes sense why Rosario Dawson's character's there. You get some of that, and we have an established hero, and hopefully if you're writing for Luke Cage as well, you're going to be a bit more sensitive and not fucking drag it down so badly.
See, what I would have done is sort of similar to that. You could actually have Luke Cage in it. I would have dropped the martial arts woman.
Madame Gao.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I would have dropped her. I would have dropped Madame Gao as well. I would have dropped... Well, she could have been in the background somewhere. I would have had it as it's the progress to prove who he is, whilst also doing like street crime stuff. And just he's like, I just have him living on the streets. I don't give him a fucking house. Just he's living on the streets. He stays the hobo the whole time. He's trying to prove who he is, and he's getting into fights with street level gangs because really he's a street level hero.
His punch is very powerful.
It is, but he's a street level hero. Like as far as
he has
I'm
one
aware
trick.
of him,
Yeah,
he has one trick.
He's
fights.
one punch man.
Yeah,
but he's not as good as him. Okay, cool.
And just keep it simple, and that would be the first series. If they want to do the other bits, I'd put them in later.
Yeah, I think I completely changed Danny Rand's character. I still have the same actor. I don't blame the actor. I blame the writing. I would have Danny Rand act a lot more confident and cocky and cool and be kind of a high on life youth rather than the kind of dumb, uneducated, kind of just completely lack of self-awareness guy that he is. And I would have Danny Rand more like that kind of thing.
More knowing of himself.
More sure of life, etc., etc.
Just like, because they've done it as he's just come back. Like, you can do that, but just have him be more self-aware that he has just come back from a place that no one fucking knows about.
Just have him be a cocky shit.
Yeah.
Have him be a cocky little shit. Yeah. Do it that way.
Yeah.
Go watch Negasonic Teenage Warhead in Deadpool. And then just, okay, how does she act? Oh, she's got the lack of interest. She's da-da-da-da. Right. That's my basis if I have to have like a young orientated Danny Rand. The more just, I don't really give a shit about this. I'm Danny Rand, motherfucker. I'm going to kick you. I'm going to punch you really hard.
Which they very, very occasionally did for like 1 or 2 moments, having his cocky, which just broke him more.
There was I want to finish this. There was one bit I liked, which I thought might be the start of it's taken a while to get going, which is where because Danny Rand, his power is he has a really powerful punch. It's the Iron Fist.
Yeah.
And he can't seem to get it working, and then he finally gets it working, and then he breaks out of a building, and then he has like a hero walk into the night, and he has this determined look in his face. I was like, okay, now he might get serious, and this might be something. Within 10 minutes of the next episode, I learned how horribly wrong that was. But for that moment, you talked about keeping the family. I would just have the brother and sister. I would completely do away with any of the other bullshit, which I don't want to spoil, and just if it's going to be a corporate level thing, I'd have a corporate level thing, and that would be my corporate level thing.
So I'd go I'd possibly include the other character, but I wouldn't do any of the bullshit. I'd just be... I'd have that character doing the stuff he does in the first, like, 3 episodes. Like, that type of stuff. Like, he's there.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, there's no conflict with people or anything like that. He's just there. Like, that's his position of the company. And that's all I'd have him do.
Yeah, but they didn't.
No.
They didn't do any of that.
No.
Right, we're ending this.
Yeah.
Unless you've got something else you want to talk about. I don't really at the moment.
No. So, personally, Sam doesn't. I suggest watching Iron Fist, but watch it in the background with something fun to do.
I suggest... Alright,
Skip the boring bits.
when Defenders comes out, that will tell me more if... Oh yeah, you should watch this episode of Iron Fist to understand why this happens in the Defenders. But apart from that, if nothing of Iron Fist really feeds into the Defenders, or it's fine leaving, then I would suggest leave it, because it's really boring. It's criminally boring. Like, it's not terrible. It's just, it's badly written, badly done, and boring. It's no fun in it. It's so far below the other Marvel Netflix series that it just isn't worth your time.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Especially not when The Wire exists. Just go watch that again.
Yeah,
instead.
you could just watch that. Basically, any weird thing we talk about, you could just go watch The Wire.
Mostly, yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's
watch
it.
The
We're
Wire.
out.
Bye.
Bye.